Hey there, just a quick note disclaimer from me. In chatting with some new Nerf friends, it was brought to my attention, and I did have a little bit of a suspicion of this, that my chrono readings may be way off because it's something for airsoft. So take those with a grain of salt. I am going to look at actually getting a better chrono that's known to work a little bit better for Nerf. I've already done this video, so I'm not going to change it. I still like using it just so I can see some sort of reference point or comparison from one change to another, but I'll probably be a little bit more disclaimery until I get a better one. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hey everyone, this is Anthony from Maritime Foam. I wanted to talk today about my favorite blaster. And my favorite blaster, believe it or not, is an Ultra blaster. It's the Ultra 2. Now you'll notice I have 3 in front of me, and the one I picked up actually fires elites. But even before it fired elites, I still really loved the look of this blaster. I love the whole dropping in darts into the back, you know, holding it low, spinning this cylinder. Feels pretty cowboy. It's very cool. So the regular Ultra 2, it actually has pretty decent power. Yeah, power's not the problem. Down the barrel, if you look right down the barrel, the flywheels to this blaster are not aligned with the dart at all. So even firing off those 3 shots, I had a bunch of them just spiraling through the air. This blaster is really prone to jams. You'll kind of notice here, there's this little piece here, what people like to call dart DRM, which kind of makes sure as the cylinder goes around that only Ultra darts can be used in here, but really that just tends to jam things up more often than not. So while I love the form factor of this, I love that it's this big one-handed hand cannon thing. I was not a big fan of the fact that it was Ultra. So when I saw online that Gavin Fuzzy Customs on Etsy had a kit for this with a 3D printed cylinder to make this fire 9 elites, I treated myself. I bought the cage and cylinder and a couple other pieces. I'll open this up and show you. But I did not buy the one to replace the motors. So this is actually using stock motors and flywheels. Well, I mean, I say I kind of regret it. I guess I wish I have both. But even this using I had to do a little bit of rewiring, but using the stock motors and flywheels, this thing hits over 100 FPS. We tend to think of Nerf as not making performers, but I mean, they put some pretty decent, well, I don't know if they're decent, but they put some motors and flywheels in blasters like Ultra and like Nerf Rival that actually can get some good feet per second. So especially if you retooled it a little bit, over 100 FPS from a pistol with stock motors and flywheels, that's pretty cool. It just required a little bit of shell cutting. We had to get rid of that dart DRM bit so that this could rotate freely. And we had to kind of get rid of a board that's inside and just kind of solder, do kind of a strife rewire thing. And I did bypass a couple locks so that we could, well, not that this is a feature, but it does, you know, it does work even when this door is up. Yeah, so I guess it's a little bit more dangerous too. But the performance is awesome, but not only that, it's super accurate. The new cage lines the flywheels up with the darts. Imagine. So good job, Gavin Fuzzy Customs, on that. I'll take some shots from the other side so you can kind of see how straight and how well it fires. It's really cool. It just makes it one of my favorites. I'd love to have 2 of these switched over to elites for dual wielding, but in the meantime, until I do that, one of my other favorite blasters, also an Ultra 2, is an Ultra 2 Mega, or a Mega 2. I keep thinking that I might redo the sides of these to the Mega 2, the Elite 2, just to go with that Ultra 2 theme. So this Mega one, these are some 3D printed files from SMBF Nerf. You can find, did I mess that up? You can find his files for this on Cult 3D, or you can find him on Instagram at Steam Puke. He designed a cylinder and a little pusher so that this could also fire 5 mega darts. I put up a picture on Instagram of this a while ago and people seemed to really like that, so I thought I'd do a video and talk about this a bit more. Again, even more shell cutting obviously required for this. We had to get rid of, that, a lot of that stuff to make room for the Mega, and put in a new 3D printed pusher and cylinder and a plate and some other things inside here. This one doesn't even have a rewire. So this is kind of, if you have a 3D printer, this is a really fun one to do. It does help to have a Dremel, I guess. So it's not exactly, it does require, a fair amount of shell cutting, but you don't have to do any rewiring if you're not big into doing that. That does mean that this does have safety gates and stuff. So yeah, I mean, I might at some point kind of rewire this, but these are all still running on batteries. They're fine for how much I use them. But this is really cool too. This gets great performance. This is in the 80s, firing Mega with stock cage and flywheels. It's the same, it's actually the exact, this one has a 3D printed cage. This one is using the Ultra 2 cage, so it ends up being pretty high crush for Mega, so you get some pretty good speeds. Favorite blaster, different flavors of ammo, really cool. This one though is really, really practical. This is a good battle blaster. I use this in backyard battles with friends. It's one of my favorites. We don't use a lot of shields when we play, but I just like having this one on a shelf. I think it's super cool. Let's do an overhead and I'll show you guys a little bit more of how to do these, and I'll put some links down in the bio, so if you want to buy the kit for this, or if you want to donate to SteamPuke and download the files for this, you can. Definitely worth it. Really fun mods, really cool blaster. It's a shame that this blaster didn't come out first. The Ultra 1 was pretty underwhelming. This one is really, really neat. It's too bad it has so many. It's too bad it has that problem with the alignment, because it does make it, this stock one is, it's the worst of the three. It just fires darts out all different directions. So I'm gonna flip the camera around before I do overhead so I can show you guys what that looks like. All right, first let's load this one back up, and this drop-in loading works so well when you're scavenging rounds off the ground as well. It's pretty neat. I'm going to aim for the words on the pop-up pod just so you have an idea where I'm aiming. Mostly laser beams. This one does do a bit of a thing where sometimes, I think just because this pusher, it's all so long, sometimes I get a weird bit of a jam on the cylinder. It might need to just be greased, but I'm just going to check it first. Yep, it's all good. All right, let's load this up. I'm going to do the same. I'm going to fire these Mega at the words. I had a little, I know I commented on it earlier. I had a little bit of a catch when I was firing. I don't usually have. That's kind of weird. But anyway, it just looks like maybe it's something in there. I'm gonna look at cleaning this up a little bit. Pretty good. Let me do one more. A couple kind of went off weird, but that's Mega. That's pretty good. I mean, that's not super far away, but it's cool from a stock blaster in the 80s. In the hundreds. And just as a control, let's fire a few Ultra rounds through this one. So you can kind of see here, I'm going to aim for that pop-up pod. I bet you this will be funny. I missed the pop-up pod altogether with 2 or 3 of these. Half my shots missed that. It's crazy. It's so weird that my favorite blaster is so awful out of the package. Anyway, I mean, I don't know. If ever there was a flagship for modding and why it's fun to mod, it's this, It's nothing super drastic to take this to something like this that's so good and dependable and, you know, still has the same kind of cool, fun toy look. I don't know. This is, I don't know. This is everything that's right with modding, in my opinion. Okay, let's get into my favorite blaster. I don't know that I originally was thinking I would take this all apart tonight, but here we are. I'm going to take off this 3D printed grip heel that was printed. I just think it looks better. And now, so yeah, I'm not going to go too deep into taking all this apart, but this is our 3D printed cage from Gavin Fuzzy, stock flywheels, motors underneath. I'm not going to unscrew all this. But this part was pretty, this part was pretty easy. This is our new 3D printed cylinder. And, in here, there was a little piece we had to take out. We had to take out this thing right here. That was pretty easy to take out of the back. It used to be under here. We did some dremeling in around here, as you can see. Again, to kind of... to get rid of this nub. We needed to get rid of that. So we dremeled that out. Not a whole lot of shell cutting for this one, really. And then from there, all this was the same. We didn't touch these wires, but we did when we took this, when we took the old cage out, we did desolder there was a board on the other side. We desoldered the board. We kept all the same wiring. I didn't rewire it. I just desoldered the board, changed things over, changed the motors and flywheels over to this new cage, and resoldered everything on. So it was pretty simple. This isn't really much of a mod guide because I'm not actually doing it, but I just wanted to give you guys a look inside the blaster. It's not super intimidating. What the heck? I'll actually take this off so we can have a look and see. Why not? The cylinder is pretty easy to remove. So this is the 3D printed piece. This is just the same piece that was in our stock blaster that keeps tension there. This is our plate where our cylinder rests up against. There's some teeth on this that interact with some teeth inside of there and kind of locks it in place as it turns. And this is where the darts go through down into the cage. So I'm going to take this cage off. I would rather pay someone for an STL and print it myself than order and have something physically mailed. Not because I mind supporting people or paying for their product, but just because to where I live in Canada, the shipping from anything Etsy or overseas for this is just staggering. I would rather pay the same price and then print my own and save the shipping. Anyway, flip this over so you can see. Oh, now we're showing off my horrible soldering. This was maybe only the second thing I soldered. The first thing that I ever soldered was a Jupiter, which seems, looking back, kind of ambitious. Anyway, it's held up. That's pretty dull. These look bad. I hope I don't break it taking it out. So anyway, yeah, so these motors came out of the old one. On the stock one, maybe I'll open the other stock one up. On the stock one, you see a board underneath here, and I just desoldered, took these wires off that board, threw the board away, and then we just resoldered these wires back onto these motors, kind of all in the same position that they would have been for the other motors. Gavin Fuzzy, when you order the kit, he has instructions. Those instructions are pretty good. It's just a PDF, but they're pretty good as far as showing you the wiring diagram. So I won't go too much farther into that. I just wanted to give people a peek. So I'm gonna put this back together, and this part, like, This part was really easy. I mean, this isn't attached or anything. There's a little groove for this to go in. His new part fits right in there. This was not especially difficult either. There you go. Goes right in there. Make sure kind of all your stuff here is where it should be before you close it back up. So this is a little different on the Mega conversion. This is the stock pusher here. On the Mega one, we have a longer 3D printed one. We actually had to Dremel out a big channel here for that 3D printed pusher to travel. So the Mega one, the Mega one is a lot more shell cutting, but also really cool because you don't actually even have to change the cage or flywheels or motors. You can just pop this out, pop the cylinder out, and change this, and you're kind of good to go, along with the heavy shell cutting. So from there, let's close this back up. I didn't screw the cage into place. I need to take it all apart again. So hopefully that helped. That was a little bit of a look inside. I think it's kind of interesting. If I ever do another one of these from scratch, I will definitely record the whole thing. I'm feeling very adventurous. I'm giving my thumb and hand, my screwdriver fingers a workout. I'm gonna take apart this one as well, so you can see, because this one still has the motors in place, stock as they are. So I can take this out, show you the insides of this one as well. Why not? One thing with this one, you want to be kind of careful. There's not a whole lot anymore connecting this, so you need to be a bit gentle. Wow. I guess I forgot that some of this, there's so much shell cutting that maybe some of this is a little looser here than I remembered. Yeah. So again, so this one is one that I printed. Not my best print when I look back. So yeah, so very familiar plate. Just this one has room for a Mega Dart to pass through. Cylinder as well. Again, we have I wonder if that's a little tight. Maybe that's why it's not as free spinning. Yeah, so we have the cylinder again, printed here as well. Has these little channels so that as this, I should actually take the time while I have this open to lubricate it again. I actually will do that. So yeah, it has these channels here that this yellow bit, when you push the trigger, besides the pusher going forward, this goes forward as well. And when as that kind of feeds in, well, this way, as it pushes in, it rotates. And then it comes back out, and it pushes in, and rotates this. So it's pretty neat. And then we have this really long pusher, as you can see, that goes on here. If you remember, the other pusher was yellow and a lot shorter. This one goes this whole way. We've dremeled out all of this, and we've dremeled out a big channel there. We've dremeled out over, I don't know if you can see in there. We have, there we go. We've dremeled out all through here. So there's a lot of stuff dremeled out. Again, if you get these parts from Steam Puke, he actually has a video that was really helpful to go through and have a look. So he goes through it in detail. Again, if I ever do a Mega one and do the conversion, I will take a video as well. But I just wanted to give people a peek. This is cool. He actually did kind of an extra bit here, just a 3D printed barrel insert as well. But all this stuff, I didn't even take this off. This is all just the original wiring. So in the other one I converted, when you open it up, I would have taken this cage off. I would have done a bunch of desoldering on the other side. There's a board under there, and used his new cage. So yeah, so this one's pretty easy, except for all the shell cutting. But it's not really that bad. If you have a Dremel, it's very, very doable. So with that, I'm going to get some lubricant. I don't know why I'm lubricating up this end of the channel. I keep looking at it backwards. It's this part that really I've used way too much. I'm sure there's people watching this that are like, what? What are you doing? Whatever. We'll see if that helps some of my stickiness. So that seats right in there. That goes there. That goes gently in there because remember, this used to be attached by a lot more than it is now. All right, I'm gonna close this one back up. So I hope you guys at least enjoyed taking a little peek in here. It's not quite the same if you're not doing the mod, but I guess it gives you, it gives you a little bit of an idea of what you're getting into, I think. I don't remember this handle being such a touchy thing. There. We'll do it that way. Back together. Okay, so we got it all back together. Let's load it up. One thing I should mention, I didn't think to mention this before. This mod does not like regular Mega. The tips of these things, it just doesn't like them. And when I use the fakey ones, it actually, the flywheels will like peel into it a bit. So this only really works well with Accustrike, which, I mean, for me, I don't have a ton of Mega Accustrike. It's not a huge deal because this mod is more of a cool mod than a practical one, but that might definitely turn some of you off of this a little bit. So I'm glad it came up, and it's kind of good to mention. But it's still so neat. I don't know why I've never had any trouble, and I had some chunks of trouble tonight with dart feeding and the cylinder. Weird. That's how it always goes. You go to show somebody something and your toy doesn't work. Anyway, this is still really, really neat. Is it perfect? No. Is it a really fun mod to do? Yes. So this one's in the mod because it's kind of neat and cool. This one is very, very, very practical. I hope you enjoyed a look at my favorite blaster and a couple variations. This Mega version, it has some drawbacks. You need to use Accustrike. It will eventually destroy them. It's very, very, very very high crush, but it's cool. Show your Nerf friends they'll think it's cool. That's kind of the best thing about it. See if we can actually get these firing off smoothly. There we go. It's my favorite. I really hope you got something out of this. I hope you found it interesting to kind of look inside. I'm going to have links if you want to do either of these projects. I mean, it's pretty low cost ones. You don't really need new motors. You don't really need a LiPo or anything. You can do a pretty cool mod, keeping the same batteries and just doing some light tweaks. So that's kind of cool if you're starting out. Until next time.